Hello everyone, it's been a while since I posted something on YouTube. One of the reasons why there was such a big gap is because I've been concentrating my time on producing a webcomic. Okay, so if you are interested, you can go ahead and take a look at chapter 1. It's available right now. I'm planning to release chapter 2 soon. So this particular video, we are going to talk about using Photoshop to expedite certain processes when you're creating a comic. And this is based on my experience having worked on this webcomic for a while. But if you have, your own experience, you can feel free to share with me in the comment section below. Now, one thing I want to point out before I proceed with this video is that, to my understanding, most serious comic artists, or at least webcomic artists, they would prefer to use Clip Studio Paint over Photoshop. But if you are like me and you are stuck with Photoshop, then this video is for you. And why do I say stuck with that air quotes is because technically I think Photoshop is a way more expensive software than Clip Studio Paint. But I do know as an educator and as if you are a student, you may have access to a free copy of Photoshop from your school, and therefore you are stuck with Photoshop. But let's move on to Photoshop right here. So I have a working file of the comic that I'm making, as I mentioned just now, and I'm going to show you just 3 simple tips that you can do within Photoshop to kind of speed up certain processes. And the first one is adding speed lines. So when you're creating comics, it's pretty common to have speed lines to showcase movement, to help emphasize certain things. All right. I understand in Clip Studio Paint, there is a default feature within that software that enables you to instantly create, kind of speedline effects. And for the longest time, because I don't have access to that software, I would usually go to Google and type like speed lines, right? And then I would just get those speed lines from Google and then just copy and paste into my panels. But the problem is that sometimes, certain angles, they don't work. Maybe there's too many lines or the thickness of the lines are creating some kind of a visual distraction, right? I only want thin speed lines instead of thick speed lines. So it's not very customizable and it requires a lot of time to actually do a search for the appropriate speed lines. So I've been trying to find if there is a plugin in Photoshop, and it turns out there is. So if you open up your Creative Cloud, right, you can go under this section called under this section called stock and marketplace. Okay, so you click on it, and I think by default it will open up this page in the featured section, but let us just head towards plugins. Okay, so I think by default you should see something like this. Click on plugins and search for comic. Okay, and type press enter. Okay, and the one that we are using is called Comic Kit. It's apparently done by Adobe themselves. Okay, if you don't see it, perhaps you can try to filter it by Photoshop, and you should be able to see it. There are other plugins out there which honestly I have not tried. I went ahead and downloaded this because it seems like it's the official Adobe plugin, so I assume it will be the most stable. Okay, but if you guys have tried other plugins and they give better results, feel free to let me know. Okay, so you click on this comic plugin, which actually launches a browser, okay, which shows you more information. I don't know why it doesn't show it within the Creative Cloud itself. But you can see over here the reviews aren't great. But so far it's been working for me. So this plugin, right, besides offering speedline options, it also can help you to create this sort of halftone effects if you want them in your comic. Personally, I don't have it in the comic that I'm making right now because I guess it's not the kind of style that I'm going for. But anyways, you can click install over here on your browser, or you can click here to install as well. Okay, so I've already have it installed, so I can't show you that process right now. Once you have this plugin installed into your Photoshop, you will actually get two PDF files. I think I might have deleted those PDF files, but it's okay. I'll show you very quickly how to get the speed lines up on your page. Okay, so let me just close this. So once you have installed the plugin, okay, the first thing you want to do is you want to create a path using a pen tool to let Photoshop know exactly where you want the speed lines to come from. Okay, so using this as an example, let me just create a new layer and call it speed lines 2. Okay, 2 because I already had an original layer with speed lines. Okay, so I will click on the pen tool over here, as you can see. Okay, click on the pen tool and make sure that I'm actually on the path mode and not the shape mode. Okay, I'm not creating a shape over here, I'm just creating a path. Okay, because when you create a shape, it will by default you will start a new layer, as you can see over here. Okay, I already have a layer, so it will just take the form of this layer. Okay, but I don't want to actually create a shape. Okay, I want to create a path. So right now what we want to do is we want to click where the lines should originate from. Okay, so in this particular panel, I want the lines to kind of come out from his face, this character's face. So I click somewhere, maybe in the middle, around his nose area. And then I want to click on where the lines should go towards. Okay, so in this case, I will click somewhere outside of this space because, okay, the thing is, if I click somewhere within this box, right, the speed lines will end here, will end at this area, okay, which is not what I want. I want it to extend beyond the box. Okay, so similarly, because it is for this particular effect, I want it to kind of radiate out from the character's face. Okay, if I kind of click over here, okay, sure, the lines will end here, but because it is kind of like a circle effect, right? So the lines that are here will kind of be, you can see the end of that line over here. Okay, maybe later I will show you an example, okay, but let me just do a good demonstration first. Okay, so let me just extend all the way out here. Okay, so with this line selected, okay, still having this line still selected, okay, I can go under edit. Okay, before I do, maybe I want to limit the effect. Okay, so I can actually do a selection over here roughly where the panel box is. Okay, still with this empty layer selected and with this line that I've created selected. Okay, I go under edit, fill. Okay, and you should be able to see, you know, by default it's probably foreground color or background color, but you move under pattern over here. Okay, and I think by default you can choose some patterns, but I think once you have loaded in the script, right, you should be able to see a script over here. You just check the script. Okay, and you should see all this screen pattern, speed lines, etc. So you want to select the EX because the underscore JP, I believe it's in Japanese language. Okay, all the text that you see in the following window, the dialog box, right? It's in Japanese. So you want to select EX. Okay, so in this example, I'm just doing speed lines first. Okay, so once you select everything, just click OK, and it should bring out a dialog box like this. Okay, so over here you can choose between two different sort of settings. It can be a zoom type of speed line, which is what I'm going for, or it can be a kind of horizontal or vertical speed line or diagonal speed line. This direction, right, is actually determined by the line that you drew just now. Okay, so later on we can also try this one directional speed line, but let me go back to the zoom. Okay, so right now, you can see over here that there is a bit of preview, and you can play with some of these settings over here. There is line width, basically how thick the line is, random, width random. So like there'll be some thicker lines, some thinner lines. How random would it be? The spacing between each line, how random the spacing would be. The center space. So in this case, I actually want the character's head to be here, right? Okay, so by increasing this center space, the speed line will actually start off further behind. So as to give, if not, by default, the speed lines will kind of start here. Okay, so I will want to have this kind of center space for this particular purpose. Okay, so with these settings, okay, I just click OK. Okay, then I have something like this. Okay, so right now, I think it is not too bad. Okay, of course I can use the eraser tool to erase some parts, but maybe I want to kind of increase the center space a little bit more. So let me just undo, do another fill. Okay, and then this time round I can play with the center space, maybe increase it a little bit more. Okay, let's try something like this. Okay, hit OK. Okay, I think this is maybe a little bit better. Okay, but let me just show you very quickly some of maybe a not so good example, right? So just now as I was as I mentioned, if let's say you were to kind of make this particular line to be very short, let me just zoom in. Okay, to be very short like this. Okay, let's see what would happen. Okay, with the same setting, as you can see, it is very small right now. And if I do this, it creates kind of like a radiating pattern within this 2 points. Okay, so if the line that the path that you draw, right, is very small or very short, it will result in something like this. Okay, so maybe I can also show you the one directional example. So let me just this and okay. And then this time around, instead of zoom, I do a speed. Okay, so something like this. And okay, let's go with these settings. Okay, it will look something like that. So I'll leave it to you to kind of play around with the different settings to kind of experiment on which setting you think works best for you. Okay, one last thing perhaps I can show is the halftone pattern. I believe, okay, so as I mentioned, I don't actually use the halftone pattern that much. So I believe you actually don't need the path, but let me try. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, so for this, you actually don't need the path. Okay, there are different settings that you can choose from. Okay, normal, it just goes from black to kind of this more spaced out dots. You can also try different things, depending on what kind of pattern you want to do. So let's just stick to the normal one for showcase for now. Okay, and let's just go ahead with this particular pattern. Okay, of course there are certain parameters over here that you can play with, basically the scale of all these dots, etc. Okay, okay, so I have something like this, and of course, I can do things because it's all in layer, so I can lower the opacity. I can kind of do something like this, just selecting out my character. Okay, for the sake of demo, I'll just do one really quickly. Okay, so select inverse, and so I have something like this. Okay, if that's what I want to do. Okay, so this is, in my opinion, pretty handy, right? It saves you the trouble of trying to find the perfect uh speed line or halftone pattern on Google. And of course, you won't run into copyright issues if you use those speed lines. Okay, so the second thing I want to show, and this is going to be pretty quick, is something to do with the text tool. So if you have used Photoshop for some time, you would know that there are few ways to create text on Photoshop, right? So we would use the text tool, by default. And usually when we type something, we will just, click and then, okay, right now the font is in black, so you can't see. So you can see the lorem is over there. Hi, my name is Jason, right? Something like that. Okay, so you would kind of type like this. However, when you are creating comics, right, you may have uh, text that have multiple sentences, so the text itself is pretty long. And because sometimes while you're making your comic, you may adjust the text here and there. What I mean is, okay, so I took this line, right? He could not stop me, and neither can you. Okay, and I kind of duplicated this text. Okay, the way that I done this two text, right, is a bit different. So this the example on the right is done using the text tool and just single click with the text tool and typing out these two sentences. Okay, the one on the left, I actually click on the text tool, click and drag to draw a text box. Okay, and then I type, hi, my name is Jason. Okay, so the good thing about using this way of creating text, right, is that let's say, for instance, I somehow have more horizontal space than vertical space for this particular panel. Okay, instead of what you see over here. So what I can actually do with this text is that I can actually click on this and I can actually pull out this box, right? This text box, enlarge it so that maybe these two sentences can occupy just two lines, as you can see over here. As compared to with a single click, if let's say just now if I were to kind of style this like this, so I need to have an enter over here, enter over here, and enter over here. So right now it looks similar to what you see over here. But the thing is, if if I have to kind of resize this dialog box over here, I would have to go inside here and backspace, and go inside here and kind of enter here. It's just a lot of work, and sometimes you will need to kind of estimate, how long the text has to be. It's just too troublesome. Okay, so comparing this to this, once again, I can shift and dynamically kind of affect how many lines I want this particular dialog to be. Okay, so it's just so much easier to control with the text box rather than just the normal way of creating text. All right. The last tip that I want to share with you guys is that when I publish my webcomic, right, it's currently available on some platforms, on 3 platforms specifically: Instagram Story, Tapas, and Webtoon. Okay. The thing is, all of them are all of them have different size requirements when it comes to uploading to their platforms. Okay, so I would superimpose a size requirement chart over here. Okay, and if you are planning to explore even more platforms, then you need to kind of resize your comic uh to fit those platforms, those additional platforms. Okay, but for my example, I'm doing over here, I'm just going to convert uh, like the original high-res version into maybe Instagram version. Okay, so this process is tedious if you are just doing it normally, because like what I have over here. Okay, so this is chapter 1. Okay, the high res, so I kind of save it out as individual JPEG images like this. Okay, and I have over here 32 images. 32 images I need to export. I need to resize and export them into different sizes based on the platforms. And if I do it one by one, I'm just gonna go crazy. Okay, there's just too much work to do. Okay, so what I can do instead, let me just close this, is I can simply open up one high-res, so this is the first page. Okay, what I can do is I can utilize this feature in Photoshop called Actions. Okay, if you don't see this in the side panel, you can go under Window and you'll be able to find Actions over here under 3D Actions. Okay, so this tab allows you to record certain uh, actions that you are doing in Photoshop and kind of play them back again later if you need to. Alright, so I'm just going to do a demonstration. What I'm doing right now is I will create a new preset for Instagram export. Okay, so let me just find out again what is the Instagram size. Okay, alright. Okay, so what I'll be doing over here, this high-res version is, is is this particular size. Okay, so I would in this actions panel, right, I will create a new action over here. As you can see, this same create new layer button. Okay, now I'll name it comic IG story. Okay, so I already have, as you can see over here, I've already created 3 different actions for the 3 different platforms that I'm posting my comic on, but I'll just do another one for IG. Okay, so I'll click record. Okay, now it's starting to record whatever actions that I'm doing. So the first thing I want to do is go under image save, and I want to reduce the height to 1920. Okay, and then I click OK. It's reduced. Next, I want to actually save it as a separate file. Okay, so I go to File, Save As, and then I would click over here, and let me just, for the sake of demonstration, right, let me just create a new file, new folder, sorry, called IG Story. Okay, double click on it, just keep everything the same, and okay, keep everything the same, and I will just hit save. Okay, and then I close the file, and then it's still here. Okay, maybe I should have on a file somewhere, but anyway, the actions is still recording. Okay, so right now I have 3 steps already. Image size, I change the image size, I save the file, and then I close the file. Now I just want to hit stop to end this recording. Okay, so I have this right now. Okay, if I can kind of expand this to show you what is being recorded. So I change my image size to a height of 1920. I keep the everything constraints are on. Okay, then I save it and I save it in this folder. Alright. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I want to open up all this image. Okay, in fact, the first image I can delete it. It'll be fine. But since it's created already, what I do is I select all these images except for the first image, because the first image has been resized and exported to that particular size that I want. Okay, so let me just open up all these images. It's taking a while because there's quite a number of images. Okay, so I have something like this, and let me just show you very quickly again what we are planning to do. We are planning to resize and export these images into this folder, IG story. Currently, there's only one image. Okay, currently there's only one image. Let me shift this out of the way. Okay, so next, what we want to do is we want to go under File, Automate, Batch. File, Automate, Batch. Okay, and then we want to set the action to be this new action that we created, a comic underscore IG story. Okay. And then we want to just set the source to be open files. Okay, all the files that are open right now. And for the rest, you can just ignore it because we have already set the action to save the files appropriately. Okay, so we don't need to touch all this. Okay, once I click OK, is when the magic happens. Okay, so right now, Photoshop is doing everything for me. Okay, on its own. Later, I'll show you the folder again, the IG story folder. Okay, so remember just now we had only one image. Okay, now we have the full folder. Okay, so everything was resized from this and saved in this folder. Okay, so just to check, okay, this is in the correct size over here. Okay, so hopefully with these 3 tips, it will save you a little bit of pain. Okay, a little bit of pain as you are working on your comic. Okay, your web comic. Okay, so yeah, if you enjoy this video, you watch some of my other content, and I'll see you again. Bye bye.